Good morning. I lost my mic in that transaction. Okay. It's weird being near Halloween and taking off a mask. Actually, that's what I'm going to talk about today, because we're coming up on Halloween. And I think it was a good time. As I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, I had a few brainstorming ideas, and one of them was Jodo Shinshu ghost stories. Because there's a lot of them, right? This is one of the core aspects of our tradition, both within Jodo Shinshu and in Buddhism as a whole. And actually, what I'm wearing reminded me of a story that I had. So when we were in, this was the first time that I was confused for a ghost. So. Nishiyama Betsuin, which is where they do all of the trainings for ordinations in Jodo Shinshu, in Kyoto. So we went there in 2016, Reverend Rosalie and I, for our ordination, and when we got there, we discovered there's this you sort of come into this garden. It's this big temple, but it's also in the middle of a big city. So across the street is an elementary school. And throughout most of the day, we're changing, sort of our robes for different kinds of ceremonies or things like that. But when it comes time to doing things like cleaning or studying or things like that, we're just wearing our hakue, the white robes that are underneath. And what we learned was that during the day, we needed to close the drapes facing that wall, because we were walking around in white robes, and the kids at the school thought that there were ghosts walking around, because this is also what somebody wears at their own funeral. So we have this, so even just a part of my own uniform for coming here is a ghost costume, at least in Japanese culture. So this is something that happens, a lot with us, of just that we think about our ancestors, and we think about them coming back. And so when I thought about Halloween, I thought about Odori, because it's really, and I thought about it for a little while, and I was like, wow, it's really the same holiday. And then I did some studying into Halloween, and I found that it's really not the same ceremony. To go back to history, and this is really weird because I'm going to talk about something that happened a long time ago on a series of islands, but it's not Japan. I'm actually going to be talking about my own people. The idea of Halloween sort of comes from the British Isles, from dating back at least to the 5th or 6th century AD. So there's a lot to why we do this thing called Halloween, why we dress up in costumes and everything. And I think from there are some things that we can connect to Jodo Shinshu. As I thought about rules for Jodo Shinshu Halloween, but they're really more, I guess, kind of guidelines, things to think about as you're having this holiday. So the reason that people dress in costume for Halloween dates back to a pagan ritual by which the spirits of the dead are unsettled, and one day a year they get to come and scare you. And so there's this one day a year, and so the term Halloween is actually kind of when the Christians come over in the 5th or 6th century, and then they try to sort of co-opt all of these local religions. But a hallow is a spirit, and so Halloween, the een is evening, the hallow is spirit, so it's all spirits night, right? So one day a year, all of these spirits come back. And so this is where the Odori connection comes in, right? We're having this great festival for people to bring them to bring them back, and to sort of to kind of have a party with them. to sort of ease them into the afterlife, or to maintain some kind of connection with them, and we get into to the story of that as part of Odori. I won't spoil it. We can do it next year. But the difference in this is the spirits in Old English pagan culture are mean. They're not lost, they're not confused, they don't miss you. They just don't like you, and they want to scare you. And that gets to why we wear the costumes that we have here. The costumes became a part of sort of hiding in with these scary spirits, so that they wouldn't harass you. That they just sort of see people harassing somebody in their home, and then they just go to somebody else's home, right? So it was this idea that someone that's passed on is scary. And that's kind of true, right? Like this is kind of, in my opinion, like what a lot of religion is about, is understanding the idea of death in the context of us living our lives. But in Jodo Shinshu, that's really different, right? Not only are we trying to maintain a connection to our past and to our ancestors through the ceremonies that we have that regard death and crossing over. The purpose of crossing over, the reason that Amida Buddha exists, is to bring these spirits to a place that they can attain enlightenment, right? So in Japanese, it's oso, so crossing over. So now you've like at the moment that you've died, the Amida Buddha takes you into the Pure Land, and you get to kind of stay there and study until you become an enlightened being. And along with Oso, there's this idea of Genso, which is coming back, right? So you've crossed over from this world into the Pure Land, but at a certain point you come back. You become that spirit that is coming back into this world. And so I guess the first guideline that I would have for Jodo Shinshu and Halloween is be a good ghost. Right? This is the point of everything that we're teaching here, is that kindness for things. And so the idea of like that connection between Halloween and being scary and everything is like, ghosts aren't scary to us. They're the sign that we are connected to one another beyond just this lifetime. And there are lots of different ways that you can internalize that understanding. But that, I think, is the really important, like that's the really important lesson when we think about this, both I think for Halloween and for Bon Odori. The second thing is give good treats. I knew there was going to be a punchline there, but seriously, this is I mean, Reverend Castro always used to talk about the platinum rule, right? Like the do unto others as you do unto yourself, versus do unto others as they want to be done to, right? That is acting in loving kindness toward other people. And when I was growing up and going and having Halloween, there was always like one neighbor that had like bit o' honey. Does anybody remember those? They were the worst. They were really terrible candy, and nobody my age wanted them. And so it was like you always knew that there was one person that was buying the candy that they wanted to eat, and then sort of pawning it off on the people around them. And this is one of those opportunities that you're a part of the community. I mean, it's not every day that people from the neighborhood come to your house, and that you can offer them hospitality. And it's moments like this when we're interacting with one another that we have an opportunity to live the values that we espouse, right? It's like, what do the kids want right now? That's what I want to buy for candy, even if it's really atrocious, like pink sugary thing that I'm never going to eat again, right? I just hope that I buy enough that I don't have any of that junk lying around at the end, right? Like maybe save like some things that you like as the last things that you give away, so that the leftovers are still going to be there for you. But a more practical thing about that is that there are some people that are going to come to your house for Halloween that can't eat candy, And I think some of you know about the teal pumpkin, that if you can put out a teal pumpkin, and that sort of indicates that you have something that's not a piece of food that you can offer somebody that comes for trick or treating. So that's 2. Be a good ghost, give good treats. And the third one is practice gratitude and that interconnection, like that in all of this. Just understand that this is a moment that we all kind of have a holiday together, and it doesn't really matter so much what religion we're from. It's just kind of a part of our everyday culture right now that this day comes to us. And a part of that is recognizing that as a part of our interdependence, we have to keep each other safe. Halloween is the most dangerous day for children in the year. And I'm not talking about like the sort of stories about razor blades and apples and things like that we grew up with that we were always afraid of, that tend to be like an urban legend, right? I'm talking about automobile fatalities. Like it is by a factor of 2 the most dangerous day for a child to be out on the street. And so this is, again, a moment for us to realize that there are people around us, right? I've said this before in another Dharma talk. You're not in traffic, you are traffic. Recognize that that this is not, you're not just the camera operator of the universe that's revolving around you. There are people here whose lives can be impacted by a moment of carelessness on your part on this day. So that's the message. I wanted to just make sure that everybody kind of understands that this is a great holiday. It's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of stress because I'm really terrible at picking out costumes. I had a really good one though, but I can't just put it on over the robes. But maybe I'll do it next year. Again, when these moments come for us to be in community with one another, like to the Mahasangha, the great, the great society kinds of ways to be together, we can always in the back of our heads think about that and how it relates to our own personal religion, philosophy, ethics of the things that we're doing. And so hopefully that gives you more to think about than just kind of like, oh, here goes the doorbell again. Why did I have to have the doorbell 1 floor below where I live so that I have to... I changed that, actually. We ended up moving to a place that's right by the front door, but those 3 years were the worst. So anyway, please have a healthy and safe Halloween, and thank you for coming today. So please join me in Gassho. Namo Amitabha. Namo Amitabha.